Hi there, welcome along to another edition of Premier League Today after another great night for one of our sides in the Champions League. I wonder who?
Yes, it certainly was. Liverpool put one foot in the final, beating Villarreal 2-0 in the first leg of their Champions League semi-final. And what a game it was at the Etihad on Tuesday night. Manchester City beating Real Madrid 4-3.
Yeah, two really good games. Another busy night to look forward to tonight. There's one Premier League game. There's always a tasty encounter. Manchester United against Chelsea, and then West Ham and Leicester, as you can see, are playing in their respective European semi-finals.
It's National Superhero Day here in the UK. Yes, so we're asking you, who's your Premier League superhero and what superpower do they have? Let us know on Twitter. Use the hashtag PLFans. Who's yours, Adam?
Quite a tricky one. I'd go with Mo Salah because when he's at his best, it's just like he's got a force field around him that stops people from tackling him.
Yep.
No one can seem to get a foot on him, so I'd go with him. Untackleable.
I'm going to go for, surprise, surprise, Cristiano Ronaldo. But also I'm going to put Thiago Silva in the same bracket, and their superpower is defying ageing. The Benjamin Buttons, exactly, of football. Anyway, we want to hear from you. Use the hashtag PLFans. Who is your Premier League superhero and what is their superpower? Jurgen Klopp, is he a superhero?
Liverpool superhero.
Yes, we can hear from him now.
The full work is to do. There's nothing happened yet. That's how it is. For me, it's the best example. You play a game and it's 2-0 at half-time. You have to be completely on alert. You have to be 100% in the right mood. You have to play the second half like you play the first half. There's nothing to defend. If you do that, you get immediately all the advantages you might have had before away. We know we go there and will be a tricky atmosphere for us. Obviously different to tonight. These players who saw that tonight, this coach, they fight for it with all they have. What I like that everybody could see, we fight with it with all we have, and it's always the same. If they beat us with a result, but give them to brings them to the final, then they deserve it, and if not, then we deserve it. That's how the competition is. We played a really good game, and now in 5 days we play again, and we have to make sure that we are ready then. Had good legs in the first half, so now when you think it's intense for us to play the way we play, but it's intense for the opponent to defend us in that way then as well. So for us was the challenge. I think how it is for all human beings. You try and you fail, you try and you fail, you try and you fail, and at one point you think, come on, it's not my day anymore, and we really had to stay positive in these moments and really try and fail, but keep trying in the same mindset, and that's what we did. The goals we scored were outstanding. Loved them.
We can head now to India and speak to Darren Caldera from Star TV. Darren, it was a good game last night, but Liverpool by far the superior side. They have that 2-0 lead now going into the second leg. We heard Klopp say there is still work to be done. Do you believe him, or has the yellow submarine sunk?
Well, Klopp seemed awfully serious with that interview. I thought, they were fabulous in the last game. Last night I thought they were just so dominant and relentless. Pressing so well. And yes, we've seen this is the Champions League. Villarreal are a quality side. They've got players who can keep the ball, players who can hurt the opposition. And we've seen a 2-goal advantage overturned previously in the second leg. So, Liverpool have to get the job done. But, looking at this particular Liverpool side, the kind of football that they have been playing, I don't see why they should not be progressing to the finals.
Darren, Liverpool obviously were the big favourites going into the game, but they had to be quite patient, didn't they? It was a little while before they got that first goal. They had to show maturity as a team to just wait and not press too hard and then get caught on the break by Villarreal.
Yeah, exactly. They kept putting the pressure. They pegged Villarreal back, and at one point while I was watching the game, I thought probably it could be one of those days where Liverpool keep trying, hitting the post, but not getting that goal. But they started that second half as well. Really well. Put the pressure back on Villarreal, and they got that first goal. It was just all Liverpool. One of the most dominant performances I have seen in the Champions League in terms of possession, in terms of chances created. They were just brilliant last night.
Darren, let's talk about Sadio Mane, because he's got a very similar contract situation to Mo Salah, but there's certainly a lot less talk around his contract, whether he's going to renew it. Is he just as, or dare we say it, even more important than Mo Salah to this Liverpool side?
Well, he's as important for me. You look at Mane and his numbers. He's just such a good team player. Every single time we've seen probably Salah not having his best game, or Salah's ever missed a game, Mane is always stepping up. He can score goals, he creates goals, and he's just such a quality player. Someone like Mane, Salah, all of them together. When they're playing together, they're unstoppable. So I would say he's as good as Salah for me. Definitely, Mane is a world-class player.
Darren, at other clubs, when contract renewals come up for the star players like Mane and Salah, there's often a lot of talk, isn't there, in the press about the fans starting to get worried. But Jurgen Klopp, in interviews and things, he has managed the expectations of the fans really well. And I think that's testament to him as a manager. Obviously, he's a great tactician. He does well with the team on the pitch. But he's also able to connect with the fans so well, and they give him the time and the patience to get all this off-the-field stuff done.
Yeah, you have to give Klopp credit, not just about everything that's happening on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. I think he really knows how to manage the boys. Even in terms of his interviews, I think he's spot on with everything he says to the news channels, or whenever he gives out an interview. And he's just getting the best out of the lot in terms of the contract situation. For Liverpool fans, they'll be hoping to get some good news soon. But what's helping the situation right now is that they're getting the results. They're in all competitions at the moment, and they're just playing some quality football.
They are getting the results. So are Manchester City, 1 point in it at the moment in the title race, 33 games played. Looking at their run-ins, who would you say has the edge?
But it's so close at the moment. If you look at both teams, you don't see anyone slipping up at the moment. But all it takes is just one game. If you look at the fixtures there, it's so even at the moment. I would say Man City have got they've got Newcastle at home, Leeds away, and West Ham away. I would say those are tricky fixtures for City. But then again, City just managed to they know how to win. It's the same with Liverpool at the moment. It's just so difficult to pick between the two at the moment. But if you're talking about the Premier League, and my money's on City winning it at the moment.
Klopp loves an analogy, doesn't he? He described this season like a toddler running down a hill. The toddler could fall over at any moment, but he's having the time of his life while he's running down the hill. I suppose the question, if we understand what he means by that, are Liverpool going to fall over, or are they going to keep running down the hill to the quadruple?
Yeah, you never want to see a toddler fall, trip over and fall down the hill, honestly. But it's first of all a massive achievement for Liverpool right now. They're fighting on all four fronts. They've already got one in the bag, and we know how hard it has been for an English side. I don't think any English side has won the quadruple. So you've got to give massive credit to Liverpool. They've got a tough final against Chelsea. I definitely think they are going to get into the final, and that's going to be a tough one. But are they going to go all the way in all the competitions? I don't think so. I don't see City not winning the Premier League, and again the Champions League final is going to be another tough one. So it's not possible, but I think it's going to be really hard for Liverpool.
Darren, can we go as far as to say that this is the best Liverpool side we've ever seen?
For me, yes. Since the time I've started watching football and Liverpool, I think this is easily the best Liverpool side I've watched. They're even better than the previous seasons when they've won the European competitions. They're just so good right now in terms of Klopp doing so well with the boys. They are pressing so well, playing quality football. Even the players coming in, like Diaz and Konate are just effortlessly, just gelling in with the team. Yeah, I can't say too much about the teams in the 70s because I wasn't born then, but this is just a quality Liverpool side. For me, the best I've ever seen.
Darren, thank you so much for coming on Premier League today. We'll see you again very soon. Enjoy what's left of the season. It's certainly very exciting, isn't it, this title race?
Yeah, good to speak to you, Darren. We'll speak to you soon. Loads of tweets in. Who's your superhero in the Premier League? What are their superpower? I like this one from Xantho. Bukayo Saka, his superpower is telekinesis. Now,
yeah, I've got a dictionary definition.
Well, that's the great thing about having these iPads here, is we can just go straight on the dictionary. What
you got it?
Yeah.
The supposed ability to move objects at a distance by mental power or other non-physical means.
Oh, we're getting very spooky.
Yeah.
Raya says, my Premier League superhero is Luis Diaz.
Yeah.
His superpower, a bit more traditional, this one. pace and control, hashtag PL fans.
You read out the third one because I don't have them on my screen because I was looking at the dictionary. It's Kai Havertz, isn't it?
Leighton September, which is a great name, says, my superhero is Kai Havertz, a.k.a. Spider-Man.
I didn't know they called him Spider-Man.
Because he steps up on the biggest occasions and saves the day.
He certainly does. Keep them coming in, I like them.
Yeah.
And we've learnt a new word.
Yes, exactly. Telekinesis. I'll be using that in conversation all the time. Hashtag PL fans will read some more out in part 2. Also in part 2, we'll be focusing on some more European action. West Ham, led by David Moyes, in a European semi-final for the first time in a long time. And Leicester as well. They're playing too against Roma. We'll talk about that next.
Never in the club's history have they enjoyed successive top 6 finishes, a realistic objective with that achievement still on the table. Antonio is bombing forward for Benrahma, who has found him. It is Antonio, and it is 4-2 to West Ham.
Antonio got him here. It was coming. It's a landmark goal for Mikel Antonio. He is West Ham's all-time Premier League goal scorer now.
Declan Rice has a look, has a hit, and scores a beauty. It is a fabulous hit from the battery in the West Ham watch.
It is game on. We'll take it a game at a time.
This is Pablo Fornals. It's in. Hammer time. Oh, it's got in.
I think at the moment what we are doing is really good.
But we need to keep pushing. There's no limits for us as lads.
This place is giddy. West Ham are flying high.
Kane's arriving, and Fabianski makes a good save. Oh, it's a good ball, it's Lanzini! Oh, magnificent! Son goal there! Come on! It's Cresswell. Oh, it is absolutely magnificent!
If we could finish in a European place this year, it'd be great for West Ham.
What a season it's been already for West Ham, and someone who's been following them far and wide on their European adventures this season is Becky Ives. Becky, good to see you. You've been in East London for the last couple of days now. You were at the stadium yesterday doing some interviews. It's very much the business end. Now, what's the mood there? Are there any nerves?
Yeah, I certainly have been very lucky to have a front row seat to this journey that West Ham have been on. Now, there will be some nerves, but I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing, to be honest. Look, ask any footballer and they'll tell you this is the end of the season, the business end of the season they want to be involved in, and they want to play every single game. Now, this is West Ham's 51st game of the season tonight. Depending on how things go, they could end up playing 56 or 57, which is the most amount of games they've played since 2015, which is a really good indication of just how well they have done this season. So, yes, there'll be some nerves, but yesterday David Moyes was speaking in a pre-match press conference alongside Mark Noble, and I think it's more a case of just embracing it, going with the flow. They stayed cool, calm and collected, and I think they're just quite excited.
It's a great game. We're hugely excited by it. The thrill of being in Europe last year was great, qualifying. If you had said to us at the end of May last year you're going to be in the semi-final of the Europa League with a chance of getting to the final, I think we'd have all said, you're joking, you know. So let's be fair, we're in a really good place, and I think we're worthy of it. I think, like beating Liverpool at home, like beating Tottenham, like beating Chelsea at home, shows that certainly when we're home patch on our day, we could be a good match for just about any team.
Tomorrow night will be pretty special, and I don't think I've ever looked forward to a game so much in my career than tomorrow night, because it's the last game I will be involved in Europe for sure, and to be able to celebrate that on an occasion like this in a semi-final with my own fans is pretty special.
Becky, earlier you mentioned just how many games West Ham have had to play in all these competitions this season, and Moyes in the last week or so has started to focus in on Europe, perhaps putting his eggs in that basket, because he made quite a few changes at the weekend, didn't he, in the Premier League, to focus on this game and making sure that he's got his best starting 11 out.
Yeah, he certainly did. He rested 6 key players. And to be honest, it's taken to the semi-final for him to do that. He's sort of played pretty much everybody, every game all the way through. But yeah, that was the first indication that we thought, oh, hang on a minute, David Moyes is putting his eggs in this Europa League basket. And to be fair, you can almost see why, because West Ham are 7th in the table. They're 8 points behind 4th place Arsenal. So at the minute, that's Europa Conference League. If they win this competition, they will qualify for Champions League football next season. So you've got to think, well, it's not going to happen through the top 4, so this is the way he's going to go. It's actually the most changes David Moyes has made to his side since 2014. That was when he was back at Manchester United. So I think a couple were a little bit... Well, I don't know if you were surprised. I think this is what the West Ham fans wanted, but because he's renowned so much for not doing that, I think it was a surprise when he did do it. But when it's West Ham United's first European semi-final in 46 years, I think they're going all in for this one.
Jarrod Bowen-Beckx was one of the players that started on the bench at Stamford Bridge. He came on in the 73rd minute. Obviously need to wrap him up in cotton wool. He has been out injured for a month. How much are they going to need him tonight?
Oh, so much. He is key man, star player for West Ham. I think fans are very relieved. He's actually just seems to seemingly have picked up where he left off when he was out for a month with that injury. 15 goals in all competitions so far this season for West Ham. He's the first West Ham player to score that many in the competition since 2015. The target, I'm sure, next season will probably be Marlon Harewood's target, 22 goals. That is the most a West Ham player has scored in a season. And I just think Michail Antonio at the minute cannot buy a goal. He does such good work off the ball. He's so strong, pacey, makes excellent decision making. But ultimately, when you're a striker, you've got to get the ball in the back of the net. It's not coming from Michail Antonio at the minute. So Jarrod Bowen is the man that they look to make those goals happen.
Beck, as you said, their players have come in and out of form. Antonio, Bowen, because of his injuries, they've had good moments and bad moments this season. But one player who's been a consistent performer at an unbelievably high level, the West Ham fans absolutely love him every game, week in, week out, is Declan Rice. He's been magnificent, hasn't he? And if they're going to get to this final, maybe win the competition, he will be the man that takes them there.
Yeah, he certainly will do. He's so young. He'll captain the side tonight because, well, Mark Noble said himself, but probably for the last game he's involved in Europe, I don't expect Mark Noble to start. No way. It'll be Souček and Rice in that defensive midfield role. And Declan Rice is having the best season that he's had. He scored 5 goals this season, which is the most he's ever had. We've seen him transform himself from this totally defensive midfielder to really push high up the field at certain times and actually manage to blag those goals. He controls everything in that midfield. The captain, the talisman, he's constantly talking. He plays far beyond his years, and he's actually been looking back at his career and just seeing how he got to this point.
I was never the best player. There was a lot of players that were better than me. That had pro contracts before me, but I was always striving to. I always had like a goal. You always get rewarded for working socks off and being dedicated. That's what football's all about, you want to be successful. I've got 2 older brothers that are 10 and 11 years older than me, so obviously they was massively into their football. And obviously growing up, from the moment I could walk really, I've got pictures at home of me in my nappy running around in the garden kicking footballs. So I think it's kind of been breaded into me since I was a kid really. That's how it started, just by always having a ball at my feet. I was 4 years old, I remember going to my first game. As a kid you watch loads of football matches, but you can't beat that feeling of when you first walk into a stadium and your eyes light up and you're seeing all these superstars you watch. You can't beat the feeling. I always used to watch John Terry play as a kid, just because I always loved tackling, defending, getting dirty, and he was the one that, at that time, who was the best centre back in the world. There was loads of other players like your Gerrards, your Lampards, and even them times it was like Ronaldinho's playing. I really did enjoy going, and I enjoyed playing school football more than anything. Obviously, I was at Chelsea whilst I was playing school football, but I made that a priority to give my time to the school and to try and help them out. And we had an unbelievable team, got to loads of finals, won loads of stuff, and they were some of the best days of my life. I was 8 when I went on trial, I was 9 when I signed, and I was 14 when I got released. Great years for me and my development, massively improved me as a player at that age. Went from step to step, improved like I said, and then obviously got released, which was tough, but then come to West Ham who took me on, and I kind of had to turn into a man, because I moved away from home so young, and straight away it was new challenges, and luckily enough, thankful to West Ham, I am where I am today. I always said, regardless of anything, whether I was playing in the Conference or League 2 or League 1, all I ever wanted to do was just my job to be a footballer. I'm really grateful and lucky enough that I've worked hard enough and given enough off the pitch as well as on the pitch to be playing in the Premier League. But there was only obviously one thing in my mind when I joined West Ham, obviously because I knew about the pathway, I knew about the players that had come through, that you would get a chance and if you was good enough. So lucky enough, my decision to join West Ham was a good one. My first match for the 23s, I was 17. Terry Wesley made me captain. It was at Rush Green. Remember that like it was yesterday, and then kind of just kicked on from there, really.
Interesting for West Ham with young Declan Rice sitting in there. He's been a breath of fresh air to West Ham United, and we definitely need these kids to crack on.
When I was in the under-18s at West Ham, it was 50-50 even then whether I'd be kept on at West Ham. I was going through a massive growth spurt. I was really gangly with my legs, and it just, I didn't really look right. I didn't really look like a footballer. Had the technical ability, but the physical side, which is so important, I was struggling with at the time. I was lucky enough, Billy, to see something in himself that he's seeing me as a kid, and just decided to give me a chance. And as soon as I got that, I just took it, and I never looked back since. I don't think I've ever had anything given to me on a plate. I've always had to work for stuff. You always get rewarded for working socks off and being dedicated. So in the end, I think like these setbacks and things I had goals to push towards have really helped me in my career. I think everyone's waiting for a trophy. It's been so long now. We've got a great group of lads in now that get it, that understand, that are doing really well in competitions. We're in Europa League. That's starting to get serious now, and that's something we're really looking forward to. Every year, there's no point just being in these tournaments for nothing. You really want to go and win a trophy, and that's what football's all about. You want to be successful.
Well, I think they all thoroughly deserve their shot at this semi-final tonight. Don't forget, it's over 2 legs, so this is just the first one tonight. But the biggest problem that David Moyes has got is he's only got one fit centre-back in Craig Dawson. Zouma, Ogbonna are all out, and Issa Diop as well are all out. So he's going to switch it to a back 3. Craig Dawson, with Ben Johnson and Aaron Cresswell back there, and then he'll use those 2 running wing-backs of Soufal and Pablo Fornells. But to be honest, if there is a problem within the team, it's better for him to have it at the back than to have Pablo Fornells, Bowen and Antonio out. So I actually think West Ham fans will take that, and he can find a solution. So yeah, look, we're looking in pretty good shape for tonight. Leg 1 against Frankfurt, Europa League semi-final. Who thought we'd be saying that about West Ham at the start of the season?
Bex, thanks so much. Before we let you go back to your penthouse suite there in East London, just a quick question for you, because it's National Superhero Day. Don't know whether you knew that already. Who is your Premier League superhero, and what is their superpower?
Oh, Premier League superhero.
Oh, it could be any superhero.
Okay, Danny Flynn, actually.
Give us your superhero.
My cameraman Danny Flynn and I were talking about this actually earlier on this morning, because if it was just in general, we'd say Spider-Man. But I have to say Premier League superhero. I have to give it to a West Ham boy. I have to give it to Jarrod Bowen today, because I want him to do well. Or actually, my superpower would be healing power. So I could look at someone and be like, you're healed, because I feel it might help David Moyes out with his back line.
Okay, love that. Bex, thank you so much. Enjoy the game tonight. I'm sure it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere at the London Stadium later.
Hopefully Jarrod Bowen can show his superpowers on the pitch later. Serious business there in East London. Big game for them, and in the Midlands, because Leicester City are in the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League as well later on. So the club assembled some of the finest journalistic minds to pose the questions that needed answering ahead of their tie against Roma.
Okay guys, we've got Luke Thomas, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall, Harvey Barnes and Hamza Chowdhury in the press conference. Raise your hand if you've got the first question.
How did you get scouted into the Leicester City Academy?
Around your age, I was playing at the Sunday League side like you would have done, and then do you know Bill Wall?
Yes.
Yeah, he scouted me when I was younger. Came to watch one of the games, and I did well in it, and then I came to train like you do. So that's where it started, and then it can get to where I am now.
Yeah, we've all pretty much had similar journeys, and I think you're at the right club. You've got all the facilities here and all the opportunities, and it's down to you how hard you want to work to take it.
We all remember when we were your age, sitting down like you are, looking up to the first team players, and trust me, it goes like that. It goes so quick, so before you know it, you could be sitting here. So it's just got to just enjoy it, trust me, and just keep working hard, because you never know, one day you could be sitting here as well. So
Who's your best player that you've played with?
Played with Jamie Vardy, but I'd say I trained with N'Golo Kante, and if you're going to let me count that as training with him, then I would probably say him, because he was what a player.
What is your toughest team that you played against?
Well, I think it's a pretty easy answer, to be honest.
For me, it's Man City. Man City.
For sure. They make you run now.
They've got all the best players, so.
Who do you think has the best haircut?
In the team? In the whole team?
In the whole team.
Why don't you tell us? Johnny Evans, he's got a good head of hair.
Evans.
Barnes.
Hey,
yeah,
he's not bad. I like Hamza's. I think Hamza's are good.
How did you get through the academy?
I think every day is coming in and wanting to improve yourself and enjoying it along the way, you know. You're such young people, young kids, and you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself from an early age, you know. You come here, you're playing with your friends, you're doing what people love doing, and you've got a massive opportunity. It's such a wonderful club. I was lucky to do it with Barnsley, and you make relationships that you end up holding for life. So every day is enjoy yourself and work as hard as you can.
You've pretty much hit the nail on the head, mate.
Anyway, are we done with this press conference? Are we going to go play some football?
Yes, let's go!
Love that. Who needs us in press conferences when you have those little kids? Great questions, by the way.
When they were sitting on the chair as well, and their feet
couldn't even touch the ground. Loved it.
And I think the great thing about those kind of things is the players see how far they've come, because they're surrounded in the training ground and on the pitches by, they've become superstars.
And it wasn't that long ago when they were sat there.
Exactly. They've achieved the dream, and I think making that connection with the kids to see the journey from there all the way up to the Premier League. Let's speak a bit more about Leicester, shall we? Anita Jones is there at the King Power Stadium for us. Hello, Anita. We heard from Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. Let's chat about him, because he's had an absolutely brilliant season, hasn't he? It's been really his breakout season for Leicester. He's showing so much maturity with the opportunity that he's been given by Brendan Rodgers, isn't he?
Definitely. So we saw those young boys there asking them questions when KDH, as he's fondly called amongst the Leicester fan base, would have joined here. He wouldn't have been much older than him. In fact, he came through the doors at Leicester at 8 years old. Another academy graduate that we're seeing in the Premier League just really reached those heights. And as you said, Adam, he's repaying the faith that Brendan Rodgers has really put in him. In terms of this season, well, he didn't get his first start in the Premier League until December against Aston Villa. But since then, he's only failed to start in 3 games across all competitions, just showing what value he's added to this team, especially when you consider how many injuries they've had all across the pitch. And then in terms of numbers, well, 5 goal contributions, it's 3 goals and 2 assists, and I think his standout performance so far this season was against Crystal Palace earlier this month when Leicester beat them 2-1. He set Ademola Lookman up for the first goal and then got the match winner himself. And what's probably given him even more confidence is just how complimentary the manager's been about him. He said that he reminds him of a throwback midfielder, that he loves to go end to end, loves to get in for those tackles, and more importantly, he's showing some real great leadership qualities and he could see him being a skipper of this club sometime in the future.
Yeah, unbelievable, because he was, of course, on loan at Luton Town. I spoke to him in an interview recently. He said he made sure he didn't go on holiday in the summer, so he was the fittest to do all the fitness tests in pre-season, so that he was noticed, and he certainly was. And there he is, doing well, very well at Leicester at the moment. So what about Leicester, Anita? Because they, of course, won the Premier League a few seasons ago, the FA Cup last season, but would European success this season, albeit the Conference League, take them to a whole new level?
Yeah, well, you can see a couple of vans behind me because the stage is set for Leicester's first European semi-final, the biggest night in the club's history this season, you've got to say. You mentioned the fact that they'd won the Premier League back in the 2015-16 campaign. That will definitely give them inspiration for tonight. But then you look more recently, of course, this squad under Brendan Rodgers had some success last season, winning that FA Cup, beating Chelsea in the final at Wembley. And then at the start of this campaign, winning that Community Shield against Manchester City. So plenty of inspiration to draw on. In terms of league performances, well, they're 10th in the table with just 6 games to go. So in order to secure some form of European football next season, they need to book their place in that final. And it would really just be a silver lining on what you've got to say, probably an underwhelming season for them compared to the campaigns of late.
Anita, there will be a very familiar face in the opposing dugout, the special one, Jose Mourinho, back here in England. He'll be there at the King Power Stadium. With his experience, both managing Premier League sides, what it takes to beat a Premier League side, and the fact that he's got so much experience in Europe, does that give Roma the edge tonight, do you think?
Yeah, well, let's talk about Roma because they're 5th in Serie A, 8 points behind 4th place Juve. So it looks like they're going to finish in one of those European spots, potentially get Europa League football with or without winning this competition. And they go into this game having lost 3-1 to Inter Milan, one of the teams challenging for the Scudetto. But before that, they had a 12-game unbeaten run. So they are in hot form. And you've got to say, Jose's managed to turn around what was a pretty poor start from them. It was really inconsistent, and now they seem to have found their form. Of course, Jose Mourinho being a familiar face, there'll be a few familiar faces in the team as well. So Tammy Abraham coming back. He's had an incredible first start to season or life in Serie A, getting 15 goals. Then you've also got the likes of Chris Smalling, Enrique Mkhitaryan and Ainsley Maitland-Niles in that squad. So we could see them feature as well. In terms of the game tonight, well, Jose Mourinho has got European titles to his name already, 2 Champions League titles, a Europa League. So I'm sure he's vying for this to make what would be his first season in Italian football, or back in Italian football, a success.
We can hear from Brendan Rodgers now speaking about Jose Mourinho ahead of tonight's game.
For me, he just had the X factor. There wasn't one single thing. He just was brilliant in so many aspects of the game. He was detail orientated. His man management with the players, like I said, his understanding of the tactical adaptations needed in the game, and then how you could promote that with the players. And he had this special quality that I was able to see in my formative years as a young coach, that he could bring people along with him. And like I say, I've just got nothing but admiration for him. Of course, I then grew and became a manager in my own right, and of course then it becomes a little bit more distant because you're busy in your work. But I will never forget what I gained from him as a young coach.
Anita, has Brendan Rodgers perhaps warmed to this competition a little bit more now that Leicester have got slightly further in it? Because I remember at the start of the season, in some of the press conference, he didn't really seem that bothered.
Yeah, an interesting one. So following their shock defeat against another Italian side, Napoli, in the group stages of the Europa League, he said that he actually thought they'd get past the group stages and that he didn't actually know much about this competition, and he was sure in due time he'd find out. So, of course, for Leicester fans, this probably wasn't the semi-final of a European competition that they wanted, but given where they are in the league and the injuries that they've suffered during the course of the season, you've got to say they'll take this with both hands if it means they get European football next season. And they're really setting themselves up in good stead. Of course, they came through to this stage of the competition beating PSV. It's just 2 more games and they could be in that final.
Anita, just a quick one before we let you go. Who's your Premier League superhero?
Oh, my Premier League superhero. I have to think twice about that. Thierry Henry, come on.
There we go. Anita, thank you so much. We'll see you again very soon on Premier League Today. Well, let's see what you're saying here on Twitter. Doomsmare says, my favourite Premier League superhero is Heung-min Son. He has the ability to make people happy. That's
OK, says Kevin De Bruyne, his superpower is mind mover.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Sean David Lowe says Christian Eriksen for getting back on the pitch. Yeah, that's certainly a superhero power.
And a great one from DeJohn, who we noticed from the location, he's tweeting us from Mount Kilimanjaro.
Which is 6,000 metres above sea level.
There you go, telekinesis.
Premier League Today has reached all new heights today. I knew that off the top of my head.
It's like an education, this programme. My Premier League superhero is David De Gea. Keep those coming in. We'll read some more out in part 3, #PLFans.
We will. After the break, we'll be previewing tonight's Premier League game at Old Trafford. Thomas Tuchel goes head-to-head with his former boss, Ralf Rangnick, in the Premier League for the very first time.
It's at this point that players and fans alike allow ourselves to indulge in optimistic fantasy, believing that this will be the year.
Was there a day more utopian, more utterly ideal in the recent life of Manchester United? Liverpool lead promptly on the turf of the enemy. Maguire's lost it to Keita and Jota has scored. For United, it is horrifying. Another Mo Salah hat-trick. And this one at the expense of Manchester United at Manchester United. Ugly own goal, Eric Bailly against the parochial enemy.
It's a second yellow card for Harry Maguire. A day to forget for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
The Blues are boss of this city again. Over the season, Liverpool 9, Salah 5. Manchester United 0. A dark predicament worsens.
It's crystal clear. It's not that difficult to analyze it, to see where the problems are. So now it's only about how do we solve them.
I think the United fans were probably looking away.
Very dramatic.
Yeah. Also,
black and white.
How quickly things have changed when Ollie was in charge.
Yes, seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
It's been a tough time for Manchester United recently on the pitch. Let's have a look at where both of these two are in the Premier League table going into the game. It's 3rd versus 6th, but the gap in points is really what makes the big difference. 11 points, 65 for Chelsea, just 54 Manchester United.
If we look at Man United and Chelsea's last 10 results in all competitions, there isn't much consistency from either side. United go into tonight's game having lost 3 of their last 4, and Chelsea have lost 3 of their last 7.
OK, let's get up to Old Trafford pitch side. We can join Simon Crabtree. I suppose, Simon, really the tale going into this one is neither side really in form. Who's going to win out on the day, do you think?
Who's the least bad? Is that what you're trying to say? This one's going into it. Well, look, I mean, as far as Manchester United against Chelsea is concerned, Chelsea have got an awful record, certainly here at Old Trafford against Manchester United. I don't think that they've won here, certainly not in the Premier League, since Sir Alex Ferguson's, one of his very last ever games in charge of Manchester United. But I think probably more tellingly as far as United is concerned is if they don't take maximum points with their final 4 fixtures of this season, it will be, points-wise at least, their worst ever Premier League season. And that is why Ralf Rangnick, in the build-up to this game, has been suggesting that morale in the dressing room, at least, has been quite low.
Well, obviously, if results are not going well, and we lost 3 of the last 4 games, this always means that the morale or the energy in the locker room is not as good as it would be if we had won those 4 games. But still, we have to perform. This is what we're getting paid for. This is also important for the players. They also, now knowing who the new manager will be, they have to perform and to show in front of again 75,000 tomorrow, that we are able to beat a team like Chelsea. And this is our job. This is what everybody has to do, and this is what we're working at for the whole week in preparation of the game.
So, this is potentially going to be Manchester United's worst ever Premier League season. They're sixth in the table. Ralf Rangnick says that there is not necessarily discord, but a certain amount of ambivalence or sadness around the camp. Laurie Whitwell is the Manchester United correspondent for The Athletic, and far better place to talk about this than myself. So, in the words of Marvin Gaye, what is going on?
Can I say I've heard it on the grapevine that...
Very good, very good.
There is discord, as you say. Ralf Rangnick, I think, has got to a point in his tenureship where he's thinking, what buttons can I press now? So he's speaking plainly, he never shirks a question, he answers honestly, which perhaps you'd think managers sometimes should protect their players or handle things differently, but he's kind of at the point now, I think, where he realises he needs to protect himself, his own reputation, he's trying to get any kind of reaction he can from the players.
Has the Ten Hag announcement coming now made any sort of impact, whether that be a positive or a negative one, on the players?
I think it gives a bit of clarity, doesn't it, at least, so they know who's going to be in charge next season. They can kind of get their heads in gear about, they can perhaps look at some matches of his, kind of get ready for that side of things. Ralf Rangnick himself has tried to, I think, put it in their minds, these games now are, not an audition as such, but they need to be thinking with next season in mind, if they're not necessarily thinking about this season. So this is a chance to show yourself to the new manager that's going to come in. That being said, he's concentrating on Ajax at the moment, so he won't exactly be, poring over United games minute by minute or anything like that.
Yeah, Rangnick said, didn't he, in the build-up to this one, that he hasn't spoken to Erik ten Hag because of that respect for Ajax and what he has to achieve in the remainder of that season. They've hardly any players. 14 fit senior players. So Harry Maguire, who was rested, had now got a knee injury. No Luke Shaw, no Fred, no Paul Pogba. Jadon Sancho has now got tonsillitis. Edinson Cavani, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. There's a door potentially for him. I'm sure he'll have some sort of a fitness test today. So Hannibal, who we saw come on and try and boot everybody off the pitch at Anfield. Alvaro Fernandez, Alejandro Garnacho. Is it a time, and you've written about this, or you've touched upon this in The Athletic this week as well, is this a time to see what they can do?
Yeah, I think in a way it could be, but as Ralf Rangnick said yesterday, and I would agree with him, that it actually could do some harm. They don't want to throw these players in without any chance of them actually showing the true value of themselves, the way that they like to play normally. So I think you've got to kind of balance that a little bit. I mean, with Hannibal's cameo the other night, generally I think he was actually well regarded, wasn't he, by fans and even the staff. They sort of said to him before
like
going on,
dervish, wasn't he? Go and express yourself.
Exactly. I mean, they said to him, go and show your personality, and that is exactly what he does in the 23s. He's a bit of a free spirit sometimes. I think he needs a little bit of discipline tactically, but also he does get in the mix. He gets kicked himself, but he can kind of put his muscle about. So I think that was absolutely what you get with Hannibal. So I think they were kind of pleased with him, the way that he handled that.
Is there more to his game, though? He's not just a kicker, is he?
No, he's very technical. He's got a great touch and good eye for pass. I mean, sometimes he tries to get on the ball too much, perhaps, in 23s games, and he actually played against Arsenal under 23s here on Friday night after that cameo against Liverpool, which was a bit of a come down, I think, for him, and you could sense that he would have probably rather been with the first team. So hopefully he does get in amongst it, for the first team squad against Chelsea tonight. But yeah, I wonder if we do see Alejandro Garnacho at some point before the end of the season as well.
So as far as sort of looking towards the end of this season and to next season in terms of where United will finish and what that means in terms of any European competition, they're pretty much, it's not mathematically impossible, but pretty much needing snookers for top four now, aren't they? So it's potentially Europa League, Europa Conference League for next season. Ten Hag seemed to suggest it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they didn't for Ten Hag next season. Sorry, Rangnick suggested. Did I say that? And you know what I meant anyway. It's not how it works here, though, is it?
I can see where he's coming from, because two things in that Ten Hag is used to the Eredivisie in Holland, where there is more gaps between games, there's more space to work on your kind of tactics on the training pitches, which, if he's coming into a new group, he probably needs a lot of time to kind of get his ideas across. And also, you look at the way that Antonio Conte came to Chelsea, they didn't have any European football that season, ended up winning the league. Jurgen Klopp, obviously you mentioned before, that he didn't have European competition in his first full season at Liverpool, so you do wonder if the kind of break would allow at least players to get their groove on board. But at the same time, Manchester United, big club, big squad, you kind of think actually they need these extra games to make sure that everyone's engaged, and United should be in European competition every season, even if, I don't know, Europa Conference League, it would be a bit of a wooden spoon, wouldn't it? But even that might be better than nothing.
They've never won it. They've never won it. Could be a new one. Looking at any sort of positive for that one. Thank you, Laurie. Kick-off 9 hours away here against Chelsea. I'll just leave you with a little bit of new news that's come through this morning as part of Manchester United's pre-season tour in terms of Ten Hag's new games. United have announced that they're going to the Optus Stadium in Perth towards the back end of June. So it's a visit to Australia for them.
Wow, that's a long trip. Simon, thank you so much. Laurie as well. I think Laurie Whitwell wins PLT's Hairstyle of the Season award. What a quiff.
Absolutely brilliant. Let's get some more perspective on United, shall we? Dion Dublin has joined us here in the studio. Dion, thanks so much for coming on. You were a member of title-winning sides at Old Trafford. Are you surprised, even shocked perhaps, by what's happened to your former club?
I think it's just been coming, hasn't it? They've been poor for too long. And the response of the players has been poor. I'm not going to say they haven't been trying. They've all been trying to do the right thing, but it just hasn't worked. What we don't see is the training ground. We don't see what goes on in the dressing room, and have we got clicks? You just don't know, and that all translates onto the pitch. When I was there, it was all harmony. The gaffer was in charge. Sir Alex ruled the roost. You did as you were told, and you got the job done. At the moment, it's just not right.
What have you made of the Erik ten Hag appointment, and what are his first 3 jobs priority?
First 3 jobs: find a house, get yourself a hire car. I think what he has to do, he has to go in, he has to have a team meeting, and he has to ask questions. In my opinion, go and ask questions. What's going on? Why isn't it working? What's your opinion, players? Staff, what's your opinion? Why do you think it's going wrong? Collaborate information first before you start kicking doors down and whatever you need to do. Find out what's going on from the horse's mouth. The players will tell you.
You mentioned Sir Alex Ferguson there, and obviously an old school perhaps mentality in terms of management. He's the boss. Whatever I say goes.
Correct.
Does some of that really perhaps be needed with this?
But you know what? Some of the old school, we need to get rid of. But some of the old school we need to keep. And if you're the manager, if you look at the managers that have won the Premier League, they've all been in charge of the football club. The whole of the football club. They're in charge of the football inside of the football club. And I think you need to give the manager that kind of responsibility. Players will respond to that. And I think what we've missed, title-winning teams and title-winning players play with an element of fear. You have to have a little bit of fear. There's got to be, oh gosh, I've got to play today. I've got the number 9 shirt. I want to keep it. I've got to do well in training. I don't see that. I don't see that at United. I don't see any fear from the fans or the manager at all.
Man United up against Chelsea later on Old Trafford. 11 points below Chelsea in the table. Chelsea pretty much safe in that 3rd position. What's Tuchel's approach going into this one? And what have you made in general of the job he's done at Chelsea?
Brilliant. I like him as a manager. I like the way he talks about his team and his players. If they're not playing well, he will say. If a player's made a mistake, he will say, not digging him out, he will say, listen, he's made a mistake there, he won't do it again. I just like his honesty. I like the way he coaches his players as well. I think long term, I think he's going to be brilliant for Chelsea, and he'll bring more players in as well because of the person he is and the players he will keep and the characters that he'll keep. So I think Chelsea will go for the throat. Everybody goes for the throat against United now. Why wouldn't they?
It's interesting because he said in a press conference this week, he's talking about he just works with the players he's got. He doesn't worry about the off-the-field stuff, and he's had to deal with that, transfer bans, who he can sign, whether he can go out and spend loads of money or spend nothing. He learns to love, I think was the way he described it, the players he's got. And that's such a refreshing mindset because some managers, they come out in the press and I want this player, trying to make talk to the board about who they can spend the money on. He doesn't seem to be doing that, and he's focusing on what he has got and getting the best out of them.
I think if you can figure out what you have in front of you, we just spoke about United and asking questions. I think he's done that as soon as he's gone in, and he's found out what characters he needs to get on side. The players are the ones that are going to make the football club and the manager look good. That's it. Get them on side. Know who you're working with. Don't try and please everybody. Just try and please what's going on the training ground, and then everything else will be fine. Listen, it's the biggest cliche in football. If it's right on the pitch, it's right off the pitch.
Yeah, exactly, because there have been a lot of problems on the pitch, but there's so much harmony in that dressing room. The players, I think most of the players, if not all of those Chelsea players, love Thomas Tuchel.
Yeah, and again, as an ex-player, if I'm going to work for somebody that says to me, Dion, you're having a bad game, you're having a stinking 2 games, and I've had a bad 2 games, I don't mind that. If I have a good game and he tells me I've had a good game, honesty, just be straight, look me in the eye and tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. And he's doing that at the moment, and I think the players, they respect that. I think it's a way to do it.
Just finally on Chelsea, if we look ahead, and Tuchel does indeed stay there over the next couple of seasons, do you see him dragging them up to that level that Liverpool and City have set?
I don't think it's about dragging Chelsea up a level. I think it's about City and Liverpool dropping their levels, because their levels are so high. City and Liverpool are far better than anybody. Chelsea are going to have to go some. Not just buying players, quality of football that they're playing week in, week out, energy levels, body language, everything has to be consistent. City and Liverpool are way ahead of everybody.
Do you see them dropping their levels anytime soon, though? No,
absolutely not. Not with those 2 managers.
Better and better.
Not with those 2 managers.
Yeah.
They demand the best. They're getting the best, and they still want more, and they'll still want to get better.
Quickly, prediction for the game. What's it going to be?
I think it'll be a draw tonight, 2-2.
Yeah,
goals.
Be a close one. We've had loads of these tweets in. It's Superhero Day, apparently, Dion.
National Superhero Day, yeah. Dion Dublin is our superhero.
So we're asking, who's your Premier League superhero and what superpower did they have? Blank says, my superhero is Tony Rudiger. He scares the goal threats away.
Yeah, like that. Chelsea, sad to lose him. Theo Swag says, same as Anita, my Premier League superhero is Thierry Henry. He can make any team invisible.
Himanshu, Shearer man. Putting the ball in the web, which is obviously the net. Who's yours?
I think this season, it has to be Eddie Howe.
Yeah, okay.
Eddie Howe, without a doubt, yes.
Yeah.
Superhero, and his powers are to make teams better. There you go.
Yeah, like
That's quite straightforward, isn't it?
Like it. I went for Cristiano Ronaldo, Thiago Silva for defying the law of aging.
Predictable, man, come on.
Yeah, but come on, look at them. Like a fine
They're not bad, are they?
Yeah.
Mine was Mo Salah. He's got a force field around him, no one can tackle.
Oh,
yeah,
dude,
like
I would have done.
Enjoyed that. It was a good question of the day.
Yeah.
Enjoy National Superhero Day.
We've run out of time, but Dion Dublin, always brilliant to speak to you. Thanks so much. Big game tonight. The Premier League game, Manchester United against Chelsea, and Leicester and West Ham in European action. Enjoy the games. We'll see you soon here on Premier League Today. Bye for now.